Hello there. Welcome to the Force Collective. Today we are back with the Mandalorian season 3 finale discussion part 2. So, before we get started, there are, things to talk about. Um me and Commander Tano were having a discussion right before the stream about certain things. But first, I want to say I know it's late. I know it's really late, but happy May the 4th for everyone. It's a little late, yes. I just want to know how everybody spent their May the 4th, and I'm going to start off by saying I recently, since it was the 40th anniversary, watched Return of the Jedi for 40th anniversary, and it's May the 4th. I did that day, and it made me think about a lot of things with Star Wars. I have a lot to say in this stream about Star Wars in particular. This one's going to be a little bit different for me, by the way. It's going to be interesting to hear what I have to say, honestly. But I'm not going to go into that just yet. We have things to discuss, and
Yep.
it has partly to do with what they think about Luke Skywalker. I want to start off with that first, real quick. I'm a little bit annoyed. So right before we were we were right before we started the stream, we were talking about an animated Clone Wars style show that takes place during or slightly after Return of the Jedi, or not Return of the, but the Galactic Civil War era. The original trilogy era, and knowing that we want this, we know that's not going to happen though, because recently some people decide to think that Luke was a museum piece that's also a cobwebbed character and cannot be used in anything as a main character other than a cameo. And I just got to think to myself, why would they do something so stupid? Because it takes us back to when Luke showed up at the end of the second season of The Mandalorian, which was insane and the best part of The Mandalorian season 2 by far. And the responses for it, like the reactions and everything, was amazing. Everybody felt like, oh, everything's going like in a great direction. I can't wait to see what happens next. And that's where I was at. And then we get that information. We also get season 3 of The Mandalorian, and anything in between that and the season 3, and it starts to make you feel like, oh, I I don't know what to feel anymore. So this one's a different one for me, and I have a lot to say. But I'm going to that little bit of news, it really disappointed me, and I really feel like they're making a dumb business decision doing that. I'm telling you, they would make tons of money if they capitalized on what Star Wars is, which is Luke Skywalker. He's the main character that started it all, and to throw him on the back seat saying, "You're only here to make slight appearances when we're desperate for money," okay? So any other time that you'd be very useful, you're not going to show up just until we're desperate for money. And that's legit what it's going to be, is when they're like, oh, we're not making enough money on this, let's throw Luke in there. Yeah, that'll get people excited, like the end of Mandalorian season 2, right? Yeah, no. I legit, this one started off so differently that I forgot to add music in here. Hold on, I'm adding music, make things a little more interesting and less silent. Let's see. I hope that's not too loud.
Well, this was an important monologue, so maybe it needed the silence.
You know what? You're probably right. Sometimes good monologues require no music in movies and stuff like that. It's just a complete and utter silence while you listen to whoever it is speak their mind. Well, anyways, exactly. Now that I've finished monologuing, so we have some things to discuss, though. I think I'm going to just say, let's just finish up talking about the last half of the Mandalorian season 3. We don't have to do it episode by episode format or anything like that. Just, discuss whatever you liked and disliked about the rest of it. Maybe give me some of your commentary on certain things, whatever, just however you want to do it, Commander Tano. I will listen.
Oh my! Wow!
Give me your unfiltered thoughts within reason.
First of all, remind me if the conversation goes back towards discussing Luke and Lucasfilm's plans with Legacy, all that. I just had a conspiracy theory kind of pop into my head, but it's not quite well. Although I guess I could kind of tie it to this, but anyways.
No, go ahead. If you want to talk about that real quick and give your thoughts, go ahead.
Oh, I feel it'll be better suited to kind of the later kind of what Lucasfilm's plans, or if they have a plan, what that is. But it may lead into it. We'll see. But yeah, Actually, I feel like season 3.
I feel like what you're wanting to talk about might also tie into what I'm going to say after we finish talking about season 3 a bit. So go ahead. I'll save that too. I'll save that for later too.
Yeah, I'll just say as a preview, and also to just kind of bookmark and remind myself, I feel like, once again, I'm calling this conspiracy theory. I feel like Lucasfilm is trying to pit kind of what I would call old Star Wars fans, like original trilogy EU people, against not newer fans, but against like Clone Wars type people. I feel like they're kind of trying to do that, and I don't like it. But that's all I'll say until later in the discussion. But so yeah, this season, I think I said it in a tweet many months ago. I think the one big issue with this season, the finale, is that it kind of went on this very circuitous journey to give the audience something that it already had. And this is a compliment to seasons 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian. We didn't need to be told that Din is Grogu's dad. We didn't need to be told that at all. We already knew that. We could just see that. It was shown to us multiple times, and it was done very well. We didn't need any ceremony to announce it or make it official. We already knew it was official a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's the thing. It's like it didn't reward the audience with anything new. And it's, as I remember saying, whenever the last time we streamed, like when we were talking about, let's say, maybe like third episode, whichever it was that was kind of set, had a lot of the Republic stuff.
Yeah.
I just think it's very obvious that this was not the season 3 we were supposed to get. Because I think it undid Din's character arc completely with the whole keeping the helmet back on thing. Like a lot of people noted this and were kind of making fun of it. It's like, so now he's sitting out in his house, with his helmet still on, and his son. It's like, is he never going to show his face again to his kid? Like, there's no other Mandalorians around to tattle on him, or you know what I mean? It's like it's weird, because even though it was technically like the outline of it was a happy ending, it kind of wasn't a happy ending, because he kind of went back to being a kind of a stooge, I much would have rather have seen him be like, screw that, I'm keeping my helmet off. Screw the cult. Like, if you all don't appreciate me, I'm leaving. That's the thing. I have in my whole headcanon. And here's the other thing. Talk about another cobwebbed character. I would have had him hanging out a significant time with Boba Fett in my version of season 3. I would have had just because it made sense. At the very end of season 2, he doesn't have a ship. He doesn't have his kid. He doesn't have anything to do. You might as well go bounty hunting with Boba Fett, because Boba Fett's right there. And And that would have been a very smart thing for Lucasfilm to do, because that's a character that's very cool that people like, and then they could feature him doing cool Boba Fett stuff instead of what we got with the Book of Boba Fett. And I think it would help for people who think that Din is kind of discount Boba Fett. I think it would help differentiate their characters, because I do think they're very different. But yeah, we didn't get that. Instead, we got Din kind of all of the character progress he made at the end of season 2 was completely reversed. And and the thing is, it's like it's not a reverse that's emotionally satisfying. It's like he's like just kind of like just go get back, fall in line. It's not satisfying. There's some kinds of character reversals that can be very satisfying. They're usually called redemptions. Those are the satisfying ones. This is not that. This is kind of like, that's it. So that was a big issue for me. Kind of with the finale and the entire season. I also, this is, I think, I guess another frustration I have, maybe not just with this season, but kind of how they handle Bo-Katan generally. It's like they kind of, I feel like, and this is a fault of Rebels too, I feel like, after the Clone Wars, it's like if they got Bo-Katan in a story, they're like, oh, we got her in as a cameo, and then they kind of think the story and her arc is kind of an afterthought. Like, I feel it was kind of excessive for her to like lose Mandalore twice effectively, because and lose the Darksaber twice and lose it again also in this finale. That's the thing is, I would be like, just let her, just let the Bo-Katan win. Let her win. Just let her kill him. Like, this isn't, that's what I thought was, that's also what I think is surprising about that plot point. You'd think they would have been like, okay, strong female character, like, here's a kill right there, set up for her. She can kill Moff Gideon. He's right there, kill him. And they don't let her do it in the story. He has to just kind of die in a blaze of glory, and obviously you've got all these people questioning whether it was him that was killed or if he was killed or all this rubbish. But yeah, that's the funny thing, is that for all of the kind of complaints that people have about her taking over Din's show, and I do think there's validity to that, and that's why I would just say, let's stop doing, they shouldn't have done character-specific shows like that, because then you get people being like, well, what's so-and-so doing in so-and-so's show? What's Din doing in Boba's show? Or what's it, and so it's like, just have it all be one big book of Star Wars, and then you can give characters as many episodes as makes sense. You don't have to shoehorn people in where they don't fit. You don't have to have Din go on a grand Star Wars tour because you're desperate for an opportunity to give people a live action this or that, from with the different characters. But yeah, I just think that for all of the kind of that was said about her taking over the Mandalorian show, she really wasn't given like a, she really wasn't given a, like an, as much of a victory as they could have. So yeah, I felt it was just kind of dumb, I guess, the whole, I didn't get the kind of destroying the Darksaber thing. I don't know.
I didn't get it either.
Yeah, like, just let her have it. Darn it, just let her have it. How many times do you have to either steal it from her or destroy it? Just let her have it.
I feel like they're trying to say, you know what? You're unlucky, Bo-Katan. You don't get nothing good out of this. You don't get the Darksaber. You don't get to rule Mandalore.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, okay, if I could redo her whole arc, I would have just decided, okay, she's only going to, she's only going to reclaim Mandalore once and get the Darksaber back once, and that's it. And then she wins. That's it. Simple. We're not gonna have where she gets it back in Rebels and then loses it. And, we're not, doing this repetition stuff. And I think that's an example of where sometimes with some of their projects, they'll bring a character in for a cameo because it's exciting, but they either because they don't know whether they'll get an opportunity. It's like, actually, I remember reading once. So in Mandalorian season 2, I read somewhere where I forget with who, whether it was Favreau or whoever directed the Boba Fett episode or whatever. But when they brought Boba Fett back in that episode, I think Rodriguez was told, like, you need to treat this as if this is our only chance to get Boba Fett in live action ever again. Like, you got to treat it like that. And that was good advice because he was really cool in that episode. So it worked. On the flip side, I feel like often, and this is the case of Rebels, and I think this is the case, and stuff going forward since the Disney acquisition, that I feel like people who are writing and producing these shows, it's like they sometimes feel that, oh, this may be the only chance that we get, say Bo-Katan, to surface again. We better do something major with this character. But the problem is then later, if you get another opportunity to use Bo-Katan, and you've already expended that major plot point, like her recovering the Darksaber, and you want to use that again for live action, it's like you can do that, but then that gets repetitive and feels kind of weird. And I feel like that's kind of an issue that it's not limited to her character, it's how they treat a lot of characters who they kind of initially grab in as cool cameos, and they're like, oh, and they want to do everything they possibly can with that character in that moment because they have no clue whether they'll have that chance again. And I understand why, because Lucasfilm was poorly run, and so you never know, I'm sure. You know what I mean? Like, they've canceled and started up and canceled so many projects and things, or they've truncated things. Like Andor went from, like, people conceiving it as a 7-season show, and now it's just going to be 2. There are all kinds of things where it's like, if you're trying to plan anything, you can't. But that's because there's no certainty or stability kind of in leadership there. Just, to make that kind of long-term planning with stories. So I think that's something that, in general, and I like, in Mando Season 2, I do like the cameos that are there in that. But I also recognize that I recognize that there are some issues with that they kind of bring in the cameos and then think about the long-term plot arcs next, sort of. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting, whenever we get to the point where we get kind of the full Nielsen ratings for this entire season to kind of compare to previous things. My understanding is that so far it's not Kenobi got better numbers, and I guess I'm not surprised. I guess I thought possibly that season 3 of this could have possibly been kind of the zenith of Star Wars TV ratings, viewership ratings. But it seems like it's already started on a decline, because I don't see how season 4 can do better than this season. That's the interesting thing, because they definitely wrote the end of. If you thought and I thought season 2, the season 2 finale, it felt like a series finale, and I recognize there were loose ends, but it had that feel of a series finale. This one really is going to tell audiences, especially the more casual ones, okay, the story of The Mandalorian is done, you can go home now. and I think they're really gonna hurt themselves with that decision. Now, granted, maybe Favreau doesn't care anymore, and that could be But
That's sort of something I want to mention later too. But keep going. Sorry.
I just it's definitely clear that people are checked out from this. It's just kind of sad, honestly. Like
it really is.
It is. Like, it's weird. I'm both sad, but I guess I am, maybe this will sound really sick, but I guess I am happy in the sense that already the viewership decline is starting, and it's going to keep going, and so it's going to, and if when they release a movie and when it flops, because it will flop, that hopefully that will accelerate some change. And we get the only way you can get kind of the Great Reset. This is a different Great Reset. The Great Reset of Lucasfilm, which we all want. Like, the only way you can get that is you need to have things be so bad, so bad that they feel that they've got no other, that they are forced to make some big changes. I mean, or sell it all, but I don't know. I could never see Disney selling anything off, but just make some huge changes. So I guess that in a way is the silver lining. But yeah, it is kind of sad, because I don't know. This season could have been so good, and it's kind of, it just feels this is clearly not the one we were supposed to get.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, at this point, I'm kind of like with Star Wars stuff. The only thing I'm kind of like still have some emotional investment in is the Bad Batch. But once that's done, I'm still interested. I'm still interested in what Lucasfilm puts out, but more in kind of a mystery science theater kind of way. Like, this will be really bad and fun to kind of watch and riff off of, that kind of thing. Because it's just you can tell Favreau doesn't care anymore. It's interesting when you have a lot of rumors, people being like, has Favreau already been fired, or is he out? Is he leaving? I'm like, it almost doesn't matter. He's already checked out kind of mentally from this, it seems. So
I mean, he proved that he could do something amazing with the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. So I'm just wondering myself, how do we get that with this, but we don't get that with this, like the Book of Boba Fett, let me put it that way. How do we get amazing from season 2 of Mandalorian, then go straight to the Book of Boba Fett? Like, there was clearly some changes to the main story too, after, the end of the Book of Boba Fett and stuff like that.
It was, and it was interesting also to hear, once again on the subject of cobwebbed characters, kind of and I get people kind of were debating over interpretations of what he was saying, whether he was purely joking or whatever, but I think he was telling the truth and doing it in his own, in a kind of lighthearted, trying to be diplomatic way, like Tamira Morrison's comments about, kind of how he was supposed to be in season 3 of The Mandalorian, and he wasn't.
That's another thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Why wasn't he?
Because his character's cool, and they can't have that in Star Wars anymore.
That's right. I forgot.
They can't let anyone be cool. They can't let Mando be cool. They can't let Boba Fett be cool. They can't even let Bo-Katan be cool. That's the thing. They have to make her lose too. Like, that's like, how has he crushed the dark? How has Gideon crushed the Darksaber with his hand?
That's a good question. I mean, Honestly, I'm sort of thinking he's wearing like a downscaled version of a Death Trooper, not Death Trooper. What were they? Dark Trooper armor. That's also fashioned to look more like a Mandalorian suit of armor as well.
Yeah, but isn't the dark saber like? Isn't it like made out of Beskar too?
That's what I was thinking
I would
too, and I'm
think
like,
so.
how do you crush that?
I
You
thought
know?
I read someone say that, and that didn't make sense. I mean, not that. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was a bit dumb to crush it, but then again, who knows? Who knows at this point?
Ugh. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel. It undid, the combo of this season, the Book of Boba Fett, kind of undid what
All the progress up to season 2, right?
Yes, and in the end, the reward kind of that you get, it's something the audience already had. We already knew that Din was Grogu's dad. We didn't need any official ceremony to tell us that. We didn't need that.
No, we did not. We
wanted Boba Fett and Luke Skywalker to be back and feature heavily in this. It's like
they're museum pieces. I don't know why you'd want to add them in there.
That's the thing. If you wanted the ratings for this season to be higher than season 2 and higher than Kenobi, you could have put the legacy characters back then and featured them heavily.
Oh yeah.
Have them be not just cameos, but a very integrated part of the story.
Well, apparently that's what Rangers of the New Republic was supposed to be, and it was supposed to heavily involve Luke.
And you know what's another show where you could have had Luke very heavily involved, but obviously they're not going to do that, given comments, given what we've heard. The Ahsoka show. That could have... The thing... I've joked about this, so I did, weeks ago, a post on Twitter saying, what I'd love to see is, have when Luke has Grogu, what you could have done is do basically the Clone Wars movie plot with, but instead of babysitting Jabba's son, you have Luke, Ahsoka, and Grogu and have some crazy babysitting plot. And the thing is, you could do that, and you could also do it in the same, primitive animation style of that movie. And I guarantee, as silly and crazy as that would be, you could probably make a whole lot more money off of that movie than some of these other things these other projects that Lucasfilm has got cooking.
Like the Rey movies?
Yeah. Honestly, they could take my money if they did a movie like that. It would be so funny, but also it'd be cool.
I would legit watch it. I would watch it in theaters 3 times if they made a movie like that.
It would, and the thing is, they're just wasted opportunity. They need to do. I really want an animated series that does for Luke what the Clone Wars did for Anakin. It's just make them cool, and the point of Luke is he's, as I see it, he's kind of his character is a what if Anakin didn't turn to the dark side, and kind of the what life he could have had, after the war. If he hadn't done that.
Why haven't they done a what if type of thing, They can do it in the same style of Tales of the Jedi, where it's just a bunch of shorts.
That's true. That's true.
Why not? Look, Lucasfilm, I'm giving you money right here.
Honestly, here's ideas. Why. Because if they did some of the what ifs, what if, major plot points of the sequels didn't happen, then people would probably like those what ifs better than what they had actually got. And that's the problem. Is I think I think honestly, the executives there are very afraid of. it's like the same reason they won't just do multiple canons, because it doesn't. Because having multiple canons, it doesn't take away the fact that those sequel movies exist. They'll always exist. But I think that as a matter of pride, they're worried that people...
That canon will not be accepted.
Well, yeah, that audiences will start appreciating the alternative canons more than the one that they want to push. So...
Oh, well, yeah, exactly.
You know, that maybe those alternative canons that have maybe a more satisfying stories and treatment of certain characters, that people might like those better. But yeah, that's the thing. That it's like the Ahsoka show would be it's like that's where that is even more obvious to me than Rangers of the New Republic, where you'd feature Luke Skywalker heavily.
Mm-hmm.
That just makes sense. And the thing is, I think a lot of people would have liked to have seen that. Like, I'm, to like see like not just cameo stuff, but substantive interaction between those two characters. That's where I feel like in the Book of Boba Fett, where you remember in the Luke episode where he and Ahsoka talk very, very briefly, like it's like very minimal dialogue, and then at the end she's walking away and he's like, oh, well, I see you again. She's like, says like maybe or possibly or something like that, and it's like, or perhaps, I don't know, but I'm thinking like, just perhaps, like with that this is Anakin Skywalker's son and you just want to leave already? Like, what? Like, that's such a minimal interaction, and
it makes me a bit sad, honestly.
It does. And I think and I kind of think they mean it. Perhaps like they're probably just thinking of having that be it, that be the only interaction that we get to see, and that is so.
I don't
awful.
Like that. I always wanted to see them two interact.
I know. And I also, I'd like to, because Rex is still around and alive, I'd like to, I'd like to see him interact. I'd like to, if they'd been really smart with the sequel era, what they would have done with it is, and I got this impression, especially after watching A New Hope again today, like, the world of the original trilogy and the world of the prequel trilogy, like, just the feel of it, like, they are very different. Like, they're like two different galaxies. And I feel like what they could have done with the sequel era is kind of do things to kind of marry those two galaxies together, so they all
really
feel
what
like
it should have
been. So instead of doing something completely different, or doing this either or thing, do both and. Like, let some of those characters from those different eras interact with each other, because that's kind of what makes it fun. You don't need to have it be this kind of thing where each character just gets one show and they have limited interactions with other characters. No. And that's where I kind of get into my conspiracy theory, that I think a part of me kind of feels like they're trying to pit Clone Wars people and like original trilogy EU type people against each other, which is really weird. And I don't know why.
I think they just like division in the fan base altogether.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's really strange, because I can always see people on Twitter and people, once again, that I'm friends with them, like, who are like really kind of, who are really getting like, oh, Rey's taking Luke's character arc, and more specific, they'll be like, oh, the Ahsoka show is taking Luke's character arc. And first of all, because they'll hear like heirs to the Empire and all that, and first of all, I just because they said that, I highly doubt the plot of that show is going to be Heir to the Empire, and I don't know much about that plot, but knowing at least from what I've heard of how Lucasfilm does things, that's probably the only connection you'll get. Just the name, the words of a title. people who are thinking it's going to be an adaptation of that, I don't think they'll worry about that. But yeah, it's this kind of either or approach that the people at Lucasfilm have. It's like, either we're going to give Ahsoka this screen time or we'll give it to Luke, or either we'll give this character that one. It's like with all these shows and people talking about characters stealing each other's shows and all this. It's like, no, could just solve all of this by just making it all one big show and just let everyone's favorite characters be cool. This isn't a competition. It's not like there's some limited slices of the pie for each character to take. You just make the pie bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would make too much sense and make too many people happy, and so that's why they won't do that. But I don't even know how we got here, but yeah, just kind of sad, but oh well, to be expected.
Well, let me ask you this then. What do you rate this season out of 10?
I'll say that it's kind of unfair for me to rate it because like I said, I haven't seen it. I've only seen enough YouTube clips and kind of summaries to reconstruct it. But
okay,
I'm just gonna.
Well, what
I
heard?
definitely could rate.
Yeah.
And this will sound so weird, like. It's hard because I wanted to give it a really low rating because I feel it in Book of Boba Fett undid so much that it's like it doesn't even matter how well, even if they fixed up some of the pacing issues or plot holes or just weird, all the other kind of cosmetic things about this season, even if they cleaned up the writing or whatever, I still wouldn't rate it highly because even if they fixed up the journey, I don't like the destination.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just know it's low. It's below a 5, but once again, my criteria is probably different because it's like I so much don't like the destination it's taken us to, and kind of knowing that. But both where it's taken Din, where it's taken Luke, where it's taken Boba Fett, where it's taken the Republic, I don't like where it's taken any of these, major characters or kind of elements of the universe. So I don't like where it's taken, I don't really like where it's taken Bo-Katan. So I'll just say it. I definitely know my score's below a 5, and it's mainly because of just. The only way they could fix it is just undo it all. It's just the outcome that I have an issue with. So yeah, that's where I am.
Well, I am going to fade the music out for a second. Okay. So now it's my turn then. And this is where things are going to be fun.
Ooh. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, probably for the first time ever.
So you're gonna be Soraya away. This is exciting.
Oh yeah, it's unfortunate that he's missing out on this. So, I'm going to start off nice, okay, and then make my way to the very dark. So, I'm going to say a few of the things that I did like about this season, which would namely be not much. So let me think. I have to think about it first because like the season near the end, I mean, there was some really good stuff in there. Don't get me wrong. One thing I will say I did actually truly enjoy was the fight scenes while they're all like using jetpacks and stuff like that. That's got to be something hard to pull off, in a show or a movie, is jetpack fighting and stuff like that while they're all flying like that. they did a really good job. They did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
I was not in the least bit disappointed in that fight scene. But with every good thing, there's got to be something terrible. But in Lucasfilm's track record, usually a good thing is followed by 10 bad things. So, everything that we've been talking about up to this point has sort of well, actually, no. Let me start off like this. That was probably one of the only good things that I found in this show was some of the, cinematography, all that stuff, the way some of the fight scenes were done. Basic things like that. I did like Grogu having IG-11's body and just saying no constantly or yes. It was sort of funny. I found it funny. But would I trade off the original story that we were probably going to get with Grogu being with Luke and all that stuff for that? No, I wouldn't. So I've done a lot of thinking over the last few weeks, especially after the finale of this show. And even during our live stream, I didn't exactly feel the way that I do about it right now. But I've had more time to think, a lot more time. And I'm honestly not considering this season canon to the show itself. If that tells you anything about how I feel.
I agree.
Frankly, I can't bring myself to consider anything after this season 2 of Mandalorian canon, except for the Bad Batch so far.
That's the thing, so far. Depends on the outcome of that.
I'm always the optimistic one. Well, not today. This time it has. I can't do it. I legit have no, not really any good things to say about anything that's going on right now. Especially after Star Wars Celebration recently and all that. I just don't have anything good to say about it. So, not only did they kill off, Jon Favreau's character, I keep forgetting his name for some reason. They don't say it often, but the Vizsla guy.
Yeah.
They kill him off using
that was symbolic.
Praetorian guards. Praetorian guards showed up in The Last Jedi. There's a connection to the sequel trilogy right there. Now, some might think, oh, you're just being petty. Maybe I am. I don't care. So, the sequel trilogy is making like a direct they're making a direct connection to the sequel trilogy, not only with that, but by also bringing in General Huxton's father.
Mm-hmm.
So now I know the direction that they are going, and the reason I said I'd save all this for the end is because it's not just The Mandalorian season 3. But anything that happened after season 2 of The Mandalorian has been breaking the story that he was originally creating into pieces. And so he's having to rewrite what he was originally going to do. And I think also the firing of Gina Carano added to that, because she was going to be a major part of the Rangers of the New Republic as well.
Yeah, and actually, another point about that. I remember even before that, kind of that big leak about kind of Lucasfilm kind of resetting the story after season 2. I was kind of thinking, with the Gina Carano firing, while I don't think it directly, I don't think there's a direct correlation towards kind of the kind of quality decline in the story with her firing. I do think that by getting rid of her character that, it means that if you're doing a Mando season 3, you're then being forced into a corner where you can't start the story immediately where it left off. And I think that by getting rid of her character, that, like that, it means that if you're doing a Mando season 3, you're then being forced into a corner where you can't start the story immediately where it left off. And I think that by getting rid of her character, that, like that, it means that if you're doing a Mando season 3, you're then putting kind of being forced into a corner where you can't start the story immediately where it left off.
Mm-hmm.
because you have to have some time in between so you can come up with some ad hoc contrived explanation for either what her dying off screen or her being recruited by special forces, some garbage like that.
Yeah.
The problem is, the best and most satisfying version of The Mandalorian Season 3 you could do is one that happens immediately after Season 2. Because
Mm-hmm.
Season 2 set up, so in my view, some very interesting, like an interesting emotional character arc for Din, but you can only follow through with it if you follow immediately after. But anyway, soapbox over, but yeah, I agree with you about that.
Yeah, I think it started with that because that was the first thing that showed them that they had to change the story up a bit. Okay, that was the first thing that forced them to change the story. Let me put it that way. So then, after after the season 2 of The Mandalorian and getting Luke, everybody was having a great time, and there were so many great reactions to it. It was a wonderful time. Even me myself, I had so much hope for what we were going to get next. I was so ready. I wanted season 3. I wanted to have a Luke and Grogu show like we were teased about before or leaked about. I don't know. It was one or the other. But there was supposedly a Luke and Grogu show that we were supposed to get. Clearly not going to happen due to certain things, which I think are stupid. But we were supposed to get something really nice, and then all of a sudden here we're at the Book of Boba Fett where they, I was thinking that he would choose the lightsaber over the little chain link armor. I was actually thinking he would do it. I think that's what I would at least that's what I think I was thinking at the time. It's been a while, but I feel like I'll have to look back at myself on my past streams to remember.
Watch the past streams. I
hope I'm not inconsistent.
I thought he was gonna pick the chainmail, but I was mad at Luke for making him make that decision. I'm like, no. And I was mad at Ahsoka for letting Luke make him make that decision. I was mad at them both.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like it shouldn't have even been a decision that he had to make. I know he already formed an attachment, but they didn't make Anakin make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
No, they his mom was right there. His decision to leave was right there, or to stay. I mean, all that was right there. They didn't make him do it, but they they gave him that choice without giving him a choice. He didn't have to go with Qui-Gon, no, but he did. They didn't force him to make that decision. He already had an attachment, and when he got to the Jedi Council, and they saw that there's much anger or much fear in him and stuff like that, you'd think, well, because he has attachment, let's give him a choice. We can either take him back to his mother, or we can train him as a Jedi. That was never a thing. Once you were taken to be a Jedi, you were taken to be a Jedi. I mean, pretty simple, but effective, because there was many Jedi, and the Jedi are trained to forego attachment. Well, why couldn't they have trained Grogu to forego his attachment to Din Djarin? I mean, it's a good question in my opinion.
Another option, and I know I'm from getting into. I don't really get into arguments over it. I just say, okay, well, I don't agree. Another option. So in my headcanon, ultimately, Luke and Din have joint custody of Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
They come to kind of a sharing arrangement with him. Because that's the thing. Because I think, in my view, I feel like that was part of the problem. The kind of okay, let's completely separate kids from their parents. And like, at least in my view, it's like, yeah, that's how you can breed some dark side users down the road.
Mm-hmm.
In kind of forcing that choice. And I don't know, maybe in my mind I could think like, oh, Luke's Jedi Academy could be a bit different and not necessarily force the issue, or and it would actually, from forget about lore, from a marketing standpoint and merchandise sales standpoint, you do want Grogu to. You don't want to completely have Grogu disappear from the Mandalorian's story.
Mm-hmm.
But you also don't want him kind of there where he doesn't belong. So you can almost so that's where I'm kind of in my mind. I'm like, yeah, you could have some moments where Din is like, here, Luke, you had take Grogu for a couple of months and train him more, and I'm gonna be busy just bounty hunting stuff, and then I'll take him for a couple of months, and then you can have, just have a little joint custody arrangement with him. And then that way you can kind of give people, their dose of Grogu every now and then, but not have it be oversaturated. But
yeah,
that's probably a very convoluted solution. But yeah, it's something different from what we got with Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. But anyways, there's when it comes to this season of The Mandalorian, it's a result of somebody basically destroying the original plot and then them having to recover from that by rewriting it and either adding new characters or changing the roles of current characters.
Yep.
And I mean, that is also what I think is going on with the Mandalorian himself right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's filling the role of what probably Cara Dune would have. And that's something that I honestly am not too happy about. Because, I mean, I don't know. It just don't feel right. I want to see him go on bounty hunting missions. He's a bounty hunter. I don't want him working for the New Republic.
Yeah, he's not. And that's the thing, is that it's... Yeah, I don't like him being a Republic stooge.
Exactly, especially with the way they're portraying the New Republic right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it because they're making it feel like... And now I know no government is perfect by any means. And I know that not all the people that, live under the New Republic probably agree with the New Republic. But you got to give it a little bit, a little bit of I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, you got to make it look a little bit better than the Empire. But, they don't seem to be too much different.
No.
and that's sad. Because the New Republic I read about was trying to, reestablish order in the galaxy and try to make things better. They sent, and now the Ahsoka show isn't going to be a retelling of that original story, Heir to the Empire, because there's no way they can have her fill all the roles of Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, Lando, all of them. There's no way. Han and Leia were going around basically being ambassadors and all that stuff, trying to get people to help out with like shipments and all that stuff, and trying to, be diplomatic, get people on their side. That they were going around doing that kind of thing. Leia being the actual ambassador, but Han was also doing his part too. He had to go off separately and do some other things, like get smugglers to help out, because they didn't have many people at the time to do the shipping and the trade and all that stuff. So they were having to go for smugglers, and it's cool to see this diplomatic side of Han Solo. He's actually trying to do something for the New Republic that had been created. The New Republic is trying to make the galaxy a better place. And then we have this one where it feels like there hasn't been a change. And it feels like they don't care about everyone. They only care about who's right there with them at this very moment. Like if you want somebody to join you, you got to do something to show them that you're the right person to join. So Navarro, if the New Republic would have went there and helped Navarro instead of having all the Mandalorians do it, Navarro probably would have joined up with the New Republic right there.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing how they treated the Mandalorians, you'd think, well, I guess they'd probably feel the same if the New Republic did. They'd probably join the New Republic, show their gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
But instead, they didn't. And it just reminds me of an episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, where the Toydarians. It was actually in the episode. I think. What was it? Which episode was it? No, it was the first episode of the Clone Wars, where Ventress was trying to get the Toydarians on the Separatist side, while Yoda was on his way there to, speak to him about his, I guess, alliance with the Republic. They were going to form an alliance. Well, there was like Asajj Ventress going around like trying to actively kill Yoda, and Yoda is just trying to get over there to talk to the Toydarian king, and he sees what she was doing, and he's like, you think I want to join you since you're trying to kill kill Yoda? And basically he says, I'm not going to join you. Then he's like, Count Dooku's like, all right, Asajj Ventress, kill him. And that's when Yoda shows up and stomps her. But it's that and the episode that in the timeline that should take place before that, supply lines. So the Republic is trying to do a relief mission to Ryloth. They're actually, they're trying to help the people of Ryloth. They appeal to the sense of, to their sense of like, not heroism. What is it? Basically, their kindness and their charity and all that stuff. They try to appeal to that, to Toydarians, and they're trying to, get them to help, or get them to let them help the people of Ryloth. And they show what they're trying to do, and the Toydarians can't turn a blind eye to people that are in need. And after seeing everything that had happened, they're like, maybe we'll consider an alliance with the Republic. So I mean,
yep,
you gotta do something to make people believe in you, and they're not doing it.
And it's perfect you bring that up, because, and what's so ironic is that the prequel era Republic had problems, but even then, it was much. You get this impression, well, you even get the impression in the prequel movies. What if the droid attack on the Wookiees?
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
They're thinking about the Wookiees.
Yeah.
But that's the point. The prequel era Republic, it thinks about the Wookiees. This new Republic that we get in The Mandalorian, it's not thinking about the Wookiees. It's like, screw the Wookiees.
Yeah, like we have so much we have to do around here, and there's already people that are allied with us that need our help. We can't be bothered to help somebody that doesn't align themselves with us, even though they're in dire need of help at this very moment. And it could be a potential ally if we do help them, but no, we don't have time for that. No, we have time for all these other people that are already allied with us. It's like, I'm just thinking that's sort of the point of trying to form a new ruling body. If you want people to support you, you got to do something to show them that you're worthy of their support. And if you're not willing to do that, then you don't deserve their support.
Mm-hmm.
So what the heck, New Republic? What the heck? I can spend all day talking about why I don't believe that this version of the New Republic should be the New Republic, unless they give me something to change my mind about all of this, which probably ain't gonna happen, by the way, because I've sort of checked myself out from Star Wars at this point, at least current new Star Wars. I'm like, I've never thought I'd ever say that either, because I've always been the optimistic one, always thinking there could be something better. Yes, this last season with the direct connection to the sequel trilogy has broken my trust. And not only that, but the announcement of not just one. I'm pretty sure they announced a whole trilogy of Rey movies taking place after the sequel trilogy. And I'm just
There's gonna
thinking
be a
how
Where have I been? Because I was in the impression it was just one. There were two other movies they announced. They weren't related at all.
I'm not
Or
100% on that. It
okay,
might have been just one movie. I've heard two things though, but it would
okay.
make sense if they're trying to make a mainline story
Yeah, I
that they're
could
going to
see
do a
how
trilogy.
I could see how they're maybe hedging, where they're like, oh, we'll try one Ray movie, and if it does well, we'll throw out two more. I could see that potentially.
I feel like that's what what they were going to go for, but then
Yeah.
again, I could be completely wrong. But at least, I mean, one thing is clear: they have announced that they're doing at least a one movie with Ray, and they brought
Yep.
Daisy Ridley on stage. And
that's
to me, I'm
ironically
thinking,
good news for us. That's good news.
yes,
'Cause it's going to flop.
yes, I'm not going to watch it. I won't even give it a hate watch. If I do, it won't be through any official means. Yo ho ho.
It'll be through ethical means.
Yes.
Very ethical.
Yes, totally. I'm not spending money on something that has spit on my face and said, "You're not good enough for us," because apparently the fans of the old aren't good enough for them. They want this newer, broader audience. No, modern audience, sorry. They want the modern audiences to care about it, but they're not going to spend the money on all the merchandising and all that stuff like, hardcore fans are. Like I'll use myself as an example here. I mean, I love Star Wars. Don't get me wrong when I say I've checked out from it. I've checked out from Disney, Star Wars, anything after season 2 of Mandalorian, and also the sequel trilogy itself. Anything other than that, I don't consider canon at this point. But when they fired Cara Dune, they decided to also take her. This relates, by the way. They took her, stuff off the shelves. Well, when not just recent, it's been about a year or so back. I found somebody was selling one of Cara Dune's 6-inch figures, for like over $100. I'm like, they are taking these off the shelves and people are selling them for higher prices. Well, I ended up buying one just because, like, I thought her character was cool anyway. And not only that, but it's going to become something that you won't be able to find on shelves anymore. Mm-hmm. When you truly care about something, you'll spend the money necessary to get something like that. And see, the thing is, that money wasn't going to Disney. That money was going to somebody else.
Yep.
So I didn't care at all to spend the money on that, even if it was over $100. And normally I would think I'm crazy for doing something like that. But if it's something that, that's being taken off the shelves for stupid reasons, I don't care to support it because, like, I feel like she was wrongfully fired. Not only that, but the treatment of her and her character, was wrong. So I wanted to show my support for the contrary and, purchase one.
Yep.
So, me, myself, I like to spend money on Star Wars. I really do. I mean, I got Star Wars figures and all that kind of stuff sitting around. I don't care to buy that. I also buy the movies. I would have purchased, and I thought about this when it first came out. I would have purchased the first and second seasons of The Mandalorian on Blu-ray or DVD, whatever they would come out with it. If they had come out with a physical edition, I would have bought those. I was that into it at the copies. Time. Well, I mean, that works too. But
and I'm going to tell generations later that when they ask what was The Mandalorian, I will show them those two bootleg copies of those seasons, those two only, and I'll be like, that's what it was. They'll be like, oh, was there season 3? No. Wasn't. It was canceled.
Mm-hmm. So going back though, because I've sort of gotten off topic, but so basically with this season and the fact that they've incorporated a few sequel trilogy elements that have already proven to me that they don't plan on going in the right direction from this point on, I've checked myself out. I honestly, like, a couple of days ago, I was thinking to myself, maybe I should just change what the channel is about, because I feel like I was that done with it. I mean, because if you tell somebody something, and I've had an actual situation like this where you give somebody advice multiple times, and I mean, of course, if you know it's the right kind of advice, you don't tell them something just based off your feeling, but if you know you're giving somebody good advice and they don't take it, and you tell them, keep giving them that advice and thinking that they may take it eventually, and they don't take it, you get tired of trying to help them. You get tired of trying to support them. Well, I have went through that, but I also went through that with the show as well. Not just the show, but Lucasfilm in general. As a fan, and I mean, I put my stuff out on YouTube. I always try to keep positive for the most part. But, this season was the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't want to really support their new Star Wars projects from this point on. And before the ending of the season happened, before the Praetorian Guards, I saw the Ahsoka the show trailer. I was excited when she said heir to the Empire, because I'm like, okay, they might, do some really cool tie-ins and stuff like that to the book, make some references. I'd sure love to see Thrawn in live action. That's all that was going through my mind. But after I had watched that trailer and then watched the next episode of The Mandalorian, at that time was the one when Hux and the Praetorian Guards showed up. That's when I instantly lost hope again. So, for me to lose hope like that is, in my opinion, unheard of. I've always been probably the biggest Star Wars fan around, at least down where I live.
Yeah.
Among people that I know, I am probably the biggest one. But I can't help but feel like we've expressed our dislike for certain things, and some people in their high executive positions think, they don't like this. Let's do another one.
Yep.
And I'm just thinking, do you hate money, or do you hate making people happy, or is it both, or like what's going on here? I feel like for someone who thinks saying Luke is a museum piece, a cobweb character, and you can't use him as a main character anymore, and if you leave Grogu with him, then you lose Grogu for good, basically. I feel like stuff like that should not be said, because due to the reaction of season 2 finale, you'd think that they would give us more. No, I'm not going to do the clip. I don't feel like it at this point. But it is really disheartening. I've never felt like this about Star Wars before. I've never felt this fed up with it, even with The Last Jedi. And I hate that movie with a passion. It makes no sense to me. But I've never felt this level of hopelessness for it. And I'm just done with their new live action stuff. I may watch the Ahsoka show. I may not. I don't know for sure at this point. I might do it just to see if they do Thrawn right. And if they do Thrawn right, I might be a little happier, but I'm still going to keep in the back of my mind that this is going to connect to the sequel trilogy. The trilogy that nobody truly likes. I mean, there's probably some that actually truly like it, which I think good. You do it's if you like it, I'm all for it. But I feel like that if you do connect it to the sequel trilogy, you're going to check a lot of people out, which I think it did. So I don't really have much else to say about the season 3. Besides,
sorry, I had a mic problem.
Oh, okay. I really don't have much to say about season 3 that's good. I mean, there was those Order 66 scenes with Ahmed Best, at the beginning. And there, there's little things like that. But other than that, like I can't really say I enjoyed the season that much. I thought some of it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the Navarro scenes were really cool, like going to Navarro and then like seeing how beautiful it was. Seeing the progression of Navarro, I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm going to give this show a 4 out of 10. I legit cannot deal with it. Not the show, the season, sorry. I can't do it. I cannot. None of the good things I mentioned, how few there were, will ever make up for that 4 out of 10 score. And I'm checked out at this point. I'm not happy.
Yep. Can't blame you. Oh.
Yep, Saray away. I took your spot today.
I'm so sorry. I just looked at my time buddy thing and realized that I thought I was on time, but now I've found out that I'm an hour late. So sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay.
Shade basically was you.
And not really like trying to replace you. I really wasn't, but it naturally came to me to be negative this time around.
He's been broken. He is broken.
Sorry. I am never negative. I'm just passionate.
Okay, sorry. Passionate. Passionately negative, actually. At least in my case this time.
So what were you being passionately about?
Well, okay, so
the season broke him.
Yeah, this season, like, I don't know what to say exactly.
Doesn't care anymore.
It got to the point where I thought about just changing what this channel is about. Let me put it that way.
What? Honestly, that's we could do a whole stream on this. What happens, like, let's say theoretically, and this would never happen, what if just, like, after all these flops, when they start churning out these movies, Lucasfilm just stops putting out stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What if Star Wars just disappeared? What is our channel then become?
Exactly. I actually have been thinking a lot about that because I'm like, Star Wars isn't doing great right now. I'm checked out because they've directly connected the show to the sequel trilogy at this point.
This is the beginning of the end. Not
and,
just
and with the rumors that are going around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Massive hemorrhaging. Just Star Wars is on the floor, is on the mat, just bleeding out, and the person that could have saved it might be running.
I mean,
he's already
after
left.
hearing some of the rumors,
he's gone.
Yeah. See, that was another thing I was going to mention is that this season felt like I was talking about this with some family recently. I want to say this real quick. So, in the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, you felt like there was like some soul in it, like somebody put their heart and soul into a lot of parts of it. And then with this season, it felt like it had no soul. It was just there,
Autopilot.
Autopilot. Yes, autopilot or AI generated, whatever you want to call it. It just don't feel like
no. AI generation would come up with a better script.
True.
Come up with a very satisfying one because it makes sense.
I mean the thing is that Clownfish TV did this. They sat down with the Chat GPT or something like that, one of the AI, and asked it to sort of write summaries of the sequel trilogy if Kathleen Kennedy hadn't have done anything, and the stuff that it came up with was far better, far more like Star Wars than what we got. So no, an AI would actually generate something pretty good. This is,
Yeah,
this is created by people that have an agenda
and no skill.
No,
Honestly-
I mean, they seem to have skill.
in destroying things. Oh, what the heck? I must have accidentally did something. I'm sorry.
Because the thing is that that they at least have a third grade writing skill.
Okay, sorry, I insulted
because,
that.
they
insulted
can-
them
they
too
can-
much.
write.
If they just
But
put those
can they
abilities
create
to
stories?
better use, they would actually create something worthwhile. But that's not what we got with this season.
Mm-mm.
Honestly, I'm very disappointed.
with
I-
the entire season.
With most of the season. There's certain things about it I was okay with. But it just felt like there was like no heart put into it, that's why I feel like Jon Favreau wasn't like strictly with it on
In
the show.
control.
Yeah. I mean,
I
it felt
mean,
like
the
he was
thing.
trying to stay away from the mainstream movies a little bit, with the first two seasons. He just wanted it to sort of be its own thing a little bit, and then all of a sudden we get this two big direct connections to the sequel trilogy via the Praetorian Guards and Hux's father.
And
Yeah.
just how the New Republic is just sucks.
Stupid. Yes.
We've already got into that.
Yeah. We had a little more discussion in this stream
Shade
about
made
it.
great points about how, this, just how this New Republic, it's like they're like, well, if you're not with us, then screw you. And whereas, we noted kind of in the Clone Wars, like the kind of the prequel era Republic, and it had problems, but it at least just was a lot more. It cared about the Wookiees.
Yeah.
This New Republic is not about, oh, what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? It isn't like that.
Yeah,
It doesn't. It's like
but-
screw
but
the
I mean-
Wookiees.
The I'm just trying to think now. But I mean, the big difference is that you'd be sort of, with the Old Republic, you're sort of looking at it at the perspective of the senators, and the senators gave a crap. With what we saw in The Mandalorian, we're looking at it at the bureaucratic level. And at that point, they're only just looking at numbers. They don't give a crap. So, if it was something that, I can't remember the character's name now. The Ranger.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
If he had have gone to probably a senator, he probably would have had his ships.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I believe for 5 seconds that that's how the bloody New Republic would be? No, but it's it's comparing the Old Republic to the New Republic by the shows that we're seeing isn't the best comparison, because we're looking at it at two different levels.
Mm-hmm.
Do I honestly believe that the New Republic would operate this way? No. I'm sorry.
Also, they
The
made
Rangers should have had the authority, or someone, he wouldn't have needed to go to Coruscant to what's the word I'm looking? He wouldn't have needed to go to Coruscant to get the authority to take out the bloody ship, especially seeing how 2 Mandalorian ships took it out.
Exactly.
Well, and here's the other thing. Maybe the New Republic could have afforded to care more if they weren't trying to just totally demilitarize and just kind of just destroy.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. No, goes back to what there is absolutely zero logical reasons to be demilitarizing their navy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sorry, at the level that they would be.
yeah.
Destroying, pulling apart the Imperial Navy. Absolutely, I absolutely get that. I absolutely see that. Yep, no, makes complete sense. You don't want any ships in your navy that is associated to the Death Star. But the level of demilitarization that the New Republic went through is just idiotic on a massive scale. Especially when you have Imperial remnants. And I mean the thing is that did you guys read anything about the political structure of the New Republic that Disney wrote?
Not that Disney
No.
wrote, no.
Okay. Well, somehow, for some reason, they wanted to create. Yeah. Somehow, for some reason, they wanted to create 2 political factions. Like American politics. For the Disney writers out there, no other bloody country has a 2-party system. Actually get some goddamn education. You are anomalies. I mean, you might say that Australia has a 2-party system. No, we've got a 3-party system. And we've got a whole lot of minor parties.
Yep.
Because when our Conservatives are in power, yes, it's the Liberal Party, but we call it the Coalition. Why? Because the only way the Liberal Party can get into power is with the Nationals. So 3 parties. Most other European countries are actually led by coalitions. And even the UK with the Tories and Labour, there's also the Greens. So, yeah.
Yep.
But the thing is that I've forgotten the names. But yeah, no. There are 2 political factions, which were the centrists and I think it was the populists. The centrists end up being pretty much everyone that funds the bloody First Order.
Gotcha.
Because they want centralized government. And the populists are all, I think, Rebel Alliance, all scattered and no, every planet should have its own army and the crazy thing is though is that there is this perfect middle ground where the galactic government has enough military force to respond to problems, but you can also allow planets their own military. And that would have been, looking at both civil wars, that would be the option. That would be the solution to the problems that those battles, those wars taught.
Mm-hmm.
So the demilitarization level that they went with, which I think was like 10% of that they reduced the Navy down to 10%.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What?
What?
They went back to the
Oh
Reformation levels.
That's insane.
So they went back to the levels of before the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
That makes no sense, but okay.
And what happened? The exact same bloody problems in the Clone Wars. Well done. No, but I mean, this is why I'm sort of saying that, the sequel trilogy destroys every character from the original two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because even destroys Admiral Akbar and Mon Mothma, even though we don't see Mon Mothma get killed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it makes them so incompetent that
all their effort.
That's the only reason the sequel trilogies would have existed, if they were that so goddamn incompetent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That all this would happen.
All the hard work they put into rebuilding the Republic and creating the new Republic was literally a waste. They might as well have left the Empire in power.
Yep.
Oh well.
Might as well have not rebelled.
Good thing this part ain't actually canon in my head anymore. I don't even care.
Isn't it liberating?
Yeah, it really is. Like, I can consider whatever I want canon, and I don't feel bad about it at this point.
And the thing is, this franchise is still entertaining, just in a different way.
Not in the way it was originally intended, but I mean,
in the Book of Boba Fett way.
Yeah,
it's entertaining in the Book of Boba Fett way. Yeah, it's a trash fire, and the Book of Boba Fett was an absolute trash fire, but it was an enjoyable trash fire. You wanted to sit there and just actually I shouldn't call it a trash fire. It's a fireworks factory fire.
Oh,
it's an absolute tragedy. Everything's blowing up. Everything's being destroyed. But fireworks are going off. Sit down and watch them. Sit down and have some popcorn.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you're so far away that you won't get wiped out in the explosion.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I completely agree with that statement because, like we were talking about earlier, if I think the whole reformation of the story that we were originally going to get started with, was visibly different with the Book of Boba Fett. Let me put it that way. We were supposed to get one story, but they changed it by giving Grogu a choice and then him going back to the Mandalorian, and that's when the story changed from what we were originally going to get forever, and it's very evident at this point that certain people don't care about what people want with this franchise, and even though it would make them lots of money, they decide that they want to shelve characters instead of use them to their fullest potential. I mean, because as somebody that I know once mentioned, Luke, like, they didn't even get to show Luke at his best.
Nope.
I mean, the best that we got was Return of the Jedi, which wasn't bad. He wasn't bad in that movie by any means. He was much stronger at that point. He was much better.
But I mean, the thing is that we never saw him at his peak. He was still on the climbing up part.
Yep.
We haven't seen Luke Skywalker at his peak.
Yep.
And with the way everything is, we probably never will.
Yeah. Cobwebbed character, museum piece. Two terms.
Yep.
Two terms that should not be used on what built the franchise.
Yep. And the thing is that the reason why I think everyone kept in so long was the end of season 2. They saw the promise and they saw, wait, hang on a second, it might come back. So okay,
what they're actually capable. They actually know how to make a good story for once. Wow. Crazy, right?
And I mean, the thing is that there was a because of it, they sat through Book of Boba Fett. They sat through all the other crap. Kenobi was definitely hard to sit through. But everyone was sort of kept going by the potential that was shown after season 2. This season, I don't see a lot of people sort of sticking around.
Nope.
No, it's hit its viewership zenith. It hit it back at Kenobi because its numbers are lower than Kenobi.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing.
And sorry, go.
Oh no, I was just saying going forward. And listen, this is good news. If you want, you need to have, along with the Rey movie announcement, that's good news because it'll flop. And if you want different Star Wars, you need it to flop. But
the ratings for all these new things that they plan on doing need to go down entirely.
They will. That's the thing. There's nothing that can outperform Mando season 3. It's all downhill from there. And some people, I've done polls about this, and some people are like, well, what about the Ahsoka show? And I'm like, look, as much as I like, Clone Wars and kind of animated Star Wars, that stuff and those characters, it's also a comparatively niche storyline. It's just they're, and you can tell, like, it's the characters that bring audiences in are those legacy characters from the movies. There's a reason why people were all checking in for the Obi-Wan series,
chances to see Hayden and Ewan playing their roles once again,
Yep, when they were the right age to do it, too. It was all perfectly set up.
And they squander their chance.
Well, not really, because they did that. Because they did that flashback scene and didn't bother fixing it up.
why couldn't that? Anyways, that's a whole other stream in and of itself. But
Yeah.
but that's the thing, is that animated Star Wars is niche. Now, I don't think it has to be niche. I think there's a way you can make it so that animation, you can make it so it's the accepted medium for those kinds of stories. But right now it's niche. And that show is not going to get the viewership that Mando's gotten. It won't.
It's not going to get the viewership that Disney needs.
No, and that's the thing, is they need viewership to grow. They don't need it to decline. They don't need, what they got is a season 3 that has a lower viewership than season 2. They needed a season 3 that got higher viewership than season 2, and that's not what they got. That's not what they need.
Especially after Kenobi, Bad Batch, Andor. And I still say Andor was, a very passable show.
I think Andor
still
was
don't
a victim
understand
of what came before it.
I still don't understand why people rant and rave about it. But it was a passable show. It was it was okay.
It was okay.
Yeah. If it was the show that came out instead of Kenobi, everyone would be just sort of in a holding pattern. But it being after Kenobi, everyone went, yeah, nah.
So yeah, there's nothing coming forward in the pipeline. That's and the thing is, even like someone could be like, "Oh, what about Mando season 4?" I'm like, no, because you have people who are disappointed with season 3 and things done with that, but also they kind of screwed themselves because they set up the end of season 3. It looks like a series finale where you've just got him and his kid just sitting out on the porch, and they're together, and that probably you're telling a lot of people in the audience, okay, you can go home now, we're done.
The way I see that scene is they're setting up that he is going to be in the Rangers of the New Republic show instead of the Mandalorian from this point on. He's going to be helping out in that show.
Which from what I've heard, it might have not have been a Disney decision to do that.
Probably wasn't.
It might have been a Pedro Pascal decision.
Yeah.
But I didn't really look too heavy in it, so I'm not entirely sure.
Well,
this is just me going off reading headlines type of situation.
So I plan on making a part 3 to this stream just because Surrey and Chrono haven't been here as much for this. I mean, you were just late for this stream. You were here in the last one, but I think in order to get everybody's thoughts, I'll need a part 3 anyways. So I'm thinking next stream I will get all your thoughts, Surrey, because me and Commander Tono gave basically our entire thoughts for this stream. But I do want you to give me what you would rate this season in this stream, if you don't mind telling me.
Oh, that's a good question.
I rated it a 4, and Commander Tono rated it under a 5. She doesn't know for sure what number yet, but she knows it's under a 5.
I sort of agree with her.
I rate it not canon. That's what I rate it.
Same.
Well,
that's a rating.
See, the thing is though, is that this season was definitely I guess you could say a patch job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There were certain things they needed to have happen. But I think they were kind of written in a hole. So they didn't have a lot of movement to get away.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it being so compromised, I don't think you could really sort of get a good season.
No.
Because I mean, from all the rumors that I heard, Grogu wasn't meant to be there.
No.
Gro-
The story itself was written probably in a way that Grogu wasn't really supposed to be there, and they had
No.
to just shoehorn him in there.
and the simple fact of the matter is that you know, sort of where the story was going, if the core of the story was still there, you know, season 3 was getting the band back together in the sense of Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
Probably still not pronounced that correctly. You know, Grogu doesn't need to be there. If the core of the story was getting the clans back together, yeah, no, it was probably a negative that Grogu was there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sorry, it was a negative that Grogu was there.
Yeah. You can thank the Book of Boba Fett for that one.
No, I think it's blame the marketing department for that one.
Well, that too.
Or the higher ups. The higher ups went, no, this is not happening.
If you leave Grogu with Luke, you lose Grogu. Oh no.
Oh, but I mean, the thing is that it would have actually been a lot more impactful for Grogu to rock up in a much bigger fight than what happened at the book. I mean, you know, the fight where all of the shows rock up, well, except Andor, because, you know, he's kind of dead. And, you know, Kenobi, because he's also dead. But all of the Filoniverse, all of them rocking up for whatever particular fight, I'm guessing because Ahsoka is bringing Thrawn back, you know, Grand Admiral Thrawn. That would have been the point to throw Grogu back in, you know, at that stage. The Jedi, or, you know, what's the Apprentice version? I don't know. Or maybe, you know, Jedi Knight Grogu, because he's been training for 50 years. He should be a little bit further along. But that's when he should have been introduced, when he's yet again not quite at the maximum of his power, but at sort of the next stage. You know, we've seen him as a foundling, and now we see him as a more realized character, rather than, you know, essentially what we got this season. But that was the point to reintroduce Grogu, and funny enough, it probably would have made a crap ton more money for the marketing department doing it that way. Which is just absolutely hilarious. They've left money on the table because they wanted the short-term gain. And the thing is that, you know, I guess there's going to be, you know, Mandalorian Grogu toys. where he looks a bit more Mandalorian than baby Jedi, and they're not going to sell.
No.
They're not going to sell.
No.
But if they had Jedi Knight Grogu 2 seasons away from now, or however long it would take for the stories to eventuate, sold out. They would be sold out.
Yep.
But yeah, and they. The rumors are that they're going to have Grogu and Rey together to draw people in. That's not going to happen now after this season.
No.
In any draw or any pull Grogu's had is gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Here's also the stupid thing about that reasoning they have with we can use Grogu to draw, kind of draw people into the Rey movie, is by then he's older, and no offense, but he's older and less cute. He's at his most marketable at this age, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
So it just doesn't. That strategy just doesn't make sense. And on top of that, and they gotta realize this, that with a novel character like that, you kind of get one shot, at unveiling that character and getting this big kind of onslaught of people wanting to buy Grogu merch. That's gone now. If that were still a factor, then season 3 should have gotten ratings that are as high or higher than season 2, which it did not. And it's a similar issue they have, and this is where Star Wars has long hit its zenith, at least under the current, people running it. And it's just downhill. It's also, I keep pointing out, if if you think that the sequel trilogy was a good financial idea, and you could say, well, those movies, they broke even, they made money. Okay,
no, they didn't. They did not make a profit. Why
did the third movie make only half what the first one did? It should have made more than the first one.
Really
and everyone needs to remember at the beginning of the sequel there were $4.5 billion in the hole.
Yeah. Yep.
Those movies were meant to pull them out. It didn't.
Nope. They spent
because
a lot of money on those movies.
if you look at the box office totals, take out marketing, take out all of that, it did not make $4.5 billion. So, nope, sorry, they were not profitable for Disney.
And on top of that, it's not just even the marketing and what the kind of the official budgets were, because we know these things, especially the third one, because Kathleen Kennedy can't run a studio, they go through all these kind of just production hiccups. And I mean, it's the same thing with the upcoming Indiana Jones movie. It's gone through crazy amount of
that's a stream within itself right there.
Oh yeah. It's just another example how she just can't run a studio. There's always have to be creative differences, production hiccups. So you gotta fire people, rehire people, change this, reshoot that. Yeah, it's all that. Those little road bumps also those aren't factored into that budget. So yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
Yep.
And I mean, hang on. What are they going to be paying that showrunner that they got rid of for The Acolyte?
Oh, yeah. That's the other thing.
Mhm.
I haven't been keeping track of that
I haven't either. I need
kind
to. I need to look into that again.
scuffle. But that's fascinating. Yeah, so it's just there's nothing coming up in the pipeline that
No.
is going to turn things around. It's all downhill from here, and it's going to be really fun to watch.
One thing, real quick, before we start to end this whole thing. If this tells you anything about how I feel, I haven't watched any of Star Wars Visions yet, except for the first episode. Usually, I will have watched them all on the same day. I haven't done that
I didn't
yet.
even know it was out yet.
I didn't know it was out until my
I'd
sister
forgotten
looked
too.
it up. Like, she was on Disney Plus at the time, and she was looking on there because we were going to watch a Star Wars movie that night, because it was May the 4th. We get on there, and we see that there's the new season of Star Wars Visions, and I haven't watched any of them except for the first one yet. The first one was okay. It wasn't terrible. I actually liked some of it, but I haven't seen all the rest of them yet, so I'm not going to say anything about the show itself. I wanted to discuss that in the stream, but I never had a chance to finish watching the season. Nor have I really had the interest to do so, which is odd. So I'm leaving it at that. we got another stream coming up. We'll do all this in part 3.
I'm going to watch Young Jedi Adventures at some point. I'm going to do it.
Are we drunk streaming that?
I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know. We can do that. I'm all for it.
To be determined. But that is something you have to watch drunk, I suspect.
Well, yeah, because I've seen
either that or be a 5-year-old child.
Well, I have things to say.
So that's why you need to drink.
Also another stream right there, because they play like shorts on as ads on YouTube. At least that's what I've been getting. Like 3-minute shorts of Young Jedi Adventures. I have, for whatever reason, on YouTube when I'm watching something, all of a sudden the Young Jedi Adventure shows up as an ad for like 3 to 5 minutes. Yeah.
Seriously though, I do think, all the joking aside about drunk streams, that is actually an interesting topic to discuss, because it's so weird to me that it's like, here's Star Wars for kids, and I'm like, it's already for. And I know some people squabble over this, but to me, it's like, I'm like, you don't need to make. And maybe there's a discussion. I don't think you need to make a show like that for that. Yeah, it's like
Star Wars was always a family.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like
you didn't have to be a certain age to watch it.
For kids that age bracket, like if I had kids, like I feel totally comfortable just showing them the original movie. It's like
hand cut off and all.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It's like
it's not like Darth Vader suddenly turns red because Luke's blood's just splashed all over him.
Exactly.
And being squirted all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty tame, and I mean, and obviously the other option too is the original Young Jedi Adventures, the Clone Wars. These start off with the early although even the early seasons have some, but yeah, it's still like it's weird to me that the mindset of kind of the executives now is that like that kids can't handle that stuff.
It encourages violence, and they don't want to encourage violence.
Well, then they should stop producing Star Wars then, because they're encouraging everyone to violence.
It's Star Wars. Star Wars.
No. I'm more going with the everyone wants to tear down Lucasfilm.
Well,
leading
Anyways,
people to that version of violence.
I believe this is a good place to stop it for now. Because like we got part 3, we're gonna make let that feature Soraya Way and Chrono specifically. You know, like they'll have the floor for the entirety of the 1.5 to 2 hours that we will hopefully have. Yes. Because I got out basically everything I wanted to say here.
Same.
I really don't feel like I'm going to be interested in watching anything else that they put out. I may watch the Ahsoka show just to see if they do Thrawn correctly, but I'm not going in with any great expectations. Yeah, I know. I'm not going in with any good expectations though, especially after everything I've seen so far. I'm starting to doubt that anything I, watch will be worth anything now that I know they're directly connecting everything to the sequel trilogy for sure at this point. So I'm just going to forget about it, not even worry about it. I maybe watch that, but it it depends on how good it is, whether I'll finish it or not. But anyways, I think that's where I'm going to end it. So if you like this, please leave a like, leave a comment, maybe subscribe, all that stuff. Let me turn the music off here. Okay. So I also added everybody's socials into the description down there. So if you want to, follow any of us on Twitter, you can. This stream will be in a playlist as well. There's a link to that particular playlist where you can get more Star Wars Topics episodes if you want to see some of our past stuff that we've done. And yeah, that's it. May the Force be with you, and have a good night. Sector.